Hey there, CGMS students. Welcome to class for homework S.17. FDP stands for fractions, decimals, and percents, task cards, and error analysis. So if you were absent or need a refresher, you can review this video. It says task card number 9. Evelyn's yoga class has 50 participants. Its rules require that 60% of them, when it's talking about 60% of them, it's talking about the 50 people, must be present. If not, the class will be canceled. At least how many participants must be present to have class? So basically, this question is asking, what is 60% of 50? Because if I find that out, then I'll know how many need to be present. So I could use the easy zeros trick here and just end up doing 6 times 5, which gives me 30 participants. I could use my tape measure diagram as well and say if 100% of the class is 50 people and 50% of the class is 25 people, then I know that 10% of the class, 50 divided by 10, is 5 people. So therefore 60% has just got to be 50% and 10% together, 25 plus 5. 60% of the class has got to be 30 people. So same answer either way. So 30 participants or 30 people. Task card number 10, it says Fabian expects his new online business to increase its sales next year 2 3/4 times their present value. Write this increase as a percent. So again, just label what the problem's asking you to do, and here it's convert a fraction to a percent. And when we do that, let's break down our fraction. So we have 2 3/4, right? We have 2 wholes. And then 3/4 is 0.75. So 2.75, we can just hop on over here and change a decimal to a percent. We swoop 2 times to the right from the decimal. So 275%. Right. Task card 11 says Rachel spends 12% of her budget on transportation expenses. Write this percent as a fraction and decimal. So it's basically telling you to convert a percent to a fraction and decimal. There will be 2 answers here, fraction and decimal. Make sure you read these problems carefully so you don't just put a fraction and then forget the decimal. So 12% might be easiest to do the decimal first. You start from the end of the percent, swoop 2 times to the left. So that's going to be 0.12. Got our decimal. That's in the 100th spot because it's in the 100th spot. I can go ahead and say that's 12 over 100, and then I can simplify that by dividing by 4. If I do that, I'll get my answer of 3 over 25. So my answer is 0.112 and 3 over 25. Always simplify those fractions. Task card number 12, it says if you weighed 92 pounds on Earth, you would weigh 97.8 pounds on Saturn. Write the weight on Saturn as a mixed number in simplest form. So convert a decimal, right, 97.8, to a fraction. Okay, so we've got 97.8. Means we've got 97 holes, and then 8 is in the 10th spot. So you can say 8 over 10. That's not simplest form, so we got to say 97 and 8/10, and then we got to just simplify our fraction part. So divide both by 2, and we'll get our answer of 97 4/5 pounds, right? Okay. Next one, it says Tara answered 68 questions correctly on an 80-question test. Express this amount as a fraction, percent, and decimal. So basically, it doesn't look like they've given you anything here, right? But if I'm answering 68 out of 80 questions correctly, that's a fraction. So basically, they want you to convert a fraction to a decimal, percent, and simplified fraction, right? So really, you should have 3 answers here. So let's do the fraction first. That might be the easiest. I've got 68 over 80, right? 68 correct over 80. I could use my calculator to simplify. It will tell me, hey, my answer is 17 over 20. I can then think backwards, right? So 20 times what gives me 80, or 80 divided by what gives me 20, and the answer there is 4. So it's like almost filling in backwards with your work. So you got 17 over 20. For a percent, percent means per 100. So if I have 17 over 20, I could just say, okay, how do I make this base 10? Well, multiply it by 5. If I do that, I get 85 over 100, which obviously means my percent is 85%. And my decimal is just going to be my percent swooped back twice to the left, so once, twice, so 0.85. So I've got my answers of 17 over 20, 85%, and 0.85. 3 answers there. Okay. Next one, it says in a recent season, Galvin field goal average of 0.43 rounded to the nearest hundredth. What is 0.43 written as percent? So basically, again, just convert a decimal to a percent. So here's my decimal, 0.43. Remember to convert that to a percent. Take from the decimals 2 times to the right, and you get your answer of 43%. Done. Number 15, it says, in Hannah's class, 7 out of 25 students do not have brown eyes. What percent of class do not have brown eyes? So convert. Again, it doesn't look like they've given you anything, but 7 out of 25 is a fraction to a percent. So if I've got 7 out of 25, how do I make that percent? Well, again, percent means per 100, so make this a fraction out of 100. It gets you 28 over 100 if I multiply by 4, right? And so therefore, it's easily 28%. And lastly, it says a purple jelly bean is 2 5/8 inches across, an orange jelly bean is 2 5/6 inches across, and a red jelly bean is 2 7/9 inches across. List the jelly beans in orders from smallest to greatest. So interesting. List from smallest to greatest. That's what they're asking us to do. It's going to be a little bit difficult to do that with fractions, so let's convert them using our calculator all to decimals, right? So 2 5/8. My calculator is 2.625. 2 5/6 is 2.8, and it's like 333 repeated all the way to the end, right? And then 2 7/9 looks like it's 2.77777, ends in an 8, but that's what the calculator does, repeated. So 7 repeated. So now we just want to pick the smallest one. So they all have 2 in their one spot. Then it looks like this first one has a 6 in its 10th spot, so that's the smallest one. So it's 2 5/8, followed by 2 7/9, because 8 is larger than 7, so 2 7/9, and ending in 2 5/6. Right, that's it. The backside is going to be yours. You've got some more task guard problems there. And then you got error analysis. So to be clear here, I have done the problem wrong. I would suggest redoing it, getting the correct answer, and explaining what I did wrong. Again, I've done the problem wrong. Redo it, get the correct answer, and explain the right answer. That's it.